I'm Kyle Pederson, and I'm excited to contribute this video to the ACF series for new and emerging composers on choral writing. I'd like to explore the idea of texture in choral writing. So let's dive right in. Texture, in general, is considered the way that the melodic, harmonic, and rhythmic elements of a piece interact and form the sound or the soundscape of that piece. Oftentimes, I find it helpful to think in terms of opposites and pairs of words and the continuum in between those. Textures can be light or dark. They can be dense or airy, thick or thin, chaotic and busy textures versus simple and minimal textures. And the overarching principle that I have experienced is that too much of any one thing, even if it's a good thing, can in time get tiring for the ear and will risk disengaging the listener. So let's look at how that might play out with some specifics. One of the first decisions you'll need to make right away is how many vocal parts will sound or sing at the same time. If you're anything like me, you love good, big, thick chords. Well, that's even better. And that's about an 8-part split. And that's awesome. There can be lots of good choral writing. You can get some wonderful and powerful moments. But if you have too much 8-part split, it'll get tiring for the ear because the ear loves novelty and the mind thrives on contrast. And so what I might recommend, and I found in my own music, is that if I have this big moment, that coming out of that, I might have just one line. Maybe the altos do something, and then the tenors come in, and then maybe they both come in. And eventually I add back the sopranos and the basses, and then eventually you can get to another big, powerful moment. And it will have that much more oral and emotional impact because you've taken it away from the listener, at least temporarily. Should also mention that unison singing from both the perspective of a singer and the audience can be super powerful. And there's a big market for pieces that are just unison or 2-part or even 3-part. Anytime you get more than 4 parts, especially consistently through a song, you drastically decrease the number of choirs that can handle that kind of music. There just aren't that many choirs who can, have an 8-part split and handle it well and have it sound amazing. This would be a good time to mention 2 big buzzwords regarding texture: homophony and polyphony. You'll hear those a lot. Homophonic choral writing, you can think of just like a Lutheran or Baptist hymnal, any church hymnal, where you have a clear melody line and the other vocal parts fill in the harmony of those chords. And so you think of sort of chords moving from chord to chord, E minor or E major to C minor to B suspension, etc. Oftentimes they're singing the same rhythm and the same text as well. And this can be beautiful writing, and I do this quite a bit. But if that's all you do, it can get tiring for the listener. The other end of the spectrum would be polyphony. And polyphony is where you have 2 or more independent moving lines at the same time. I was doing an arrangement of O Come, O Come, Emmanuel, and of course you know this melody. And I wanted to do another independently, a counter melody to move independent of that, and so I came up with this. Together, you put these 2 melody lines together, it sounds like this. When you're writing with polyphony, the harmony, you generally don't think of in terms of blocks of chords moving, or a C major moving to a D minor, moving to an A minor 7th. You think about these melody lines that are moving through time and space with clear direction to it. And the harmony comes about as these lines interact, right? So as this one flows and this one flows up, there will be points where some clear harmonies will emerge. But it's a different way of thinking about harmony and gives you a different texture. It would be important to note here that singers love to have meaty, independent, moving melodic lines. I think about how much of the choral music that I see has, altos, and I'm guilty of this sometimes as well. The altos are just singing a harmony part here in these 3-note range. The basses are just moving the root of the chord, which here and there, of course, is certainly fine. But how awesome is it if you can give the basses an actual melody line and the altos get a moment to shine with a melody line? So it's not just the sopranos and occasionally the tenors that get the moving, gorgeous parts. One other thing I would love to mention is texture with your accompaniments. Most of my writing has piano accompaniment. Most of the choral writing out there, I think, has piano accompaniments as well. And there's some things to think about there. You've got deep, rich sonorities. In this register of the piano, if you use especially root position for your chords, which you can lighten that texture up, get different rhythms, take the chords out of root position and have some sort of an inversion, move it up even further. And that way, when it comes time to build up to the climax of the piece, you can come back to this, or whatever your groove happens to be, and it'll be that much more impactful. Two challenges for you if you'd like to explore some more with texture. One is to think about one of your favorite choral composers and one of your favorite pieces, and to listen to that piece just through the lens of texture. Just ask yourself, what is this composer doing texturally to make this an interesting piece? Second challenge for you is to actually create maybe 16 measures of a really interestingly textured piece. For example, you take the sopranos and think, I'm just going to assign them some body percussion. They're going to be doing some slaps, some claps, some snaps. That's an interesting texture in and of itself. Maybe you take the tenors and you're going to have the tenors do some sort of vocal percussion. Notate that out. And then maybe you think, okay, I'll have the altos sing a nice low sort of melodic line, and then I'll have the basses come in with a different sort of rhythm and supporting that with some sort of harmony. And just kind of see how all of those interact together. So that would be a second challenge for you. We'll call it good at that. Don't want to give you too much to think about at once. I hope that something you've seen or heard has resonated with you, and I thank you for joining, and I wish you the best of luck on your compositional journey.